can join. Well, good morning. As those of you who are coming on, welcome to the 2022 Virtual National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference. We will begin at the top of the hour, so sit back and get ready for a full day of ag literacy. We'll get started here at the top of the hour. Again, good morning. My name is Kevin Daugherty. I'm the State Agriculture in the Classroom state contact from Illinois, and I'm here today to host the Virtual National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference. We're excited that you're here. We'll begin promptly at the top of the hour. You'll hear this all the time, but everything will start at the top of the hour and we're going to be on time. So thank you for being on time. We'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. Again, good morning. My name is Kevin Daugherty. I'm with the Illinois Agriculture in the Classroom program. We'd like to welcome all of you to our virtual National Agriculture in the Classroom Conference. We're excited today to have over 700 people joining us throughout the day to learn a little bit more about agriculture in the classroom. Clayton, if I could get you to mute your camera until your time comes on, that would be great. Thank you so much. We do have a number of panelists that will be joining us throughout the day. And those of you who are joining us online, we want to let you know just a couple of things. First off, the sessions are going to be recorded. Sometime next week, you'll see information about that. We'll send an email blast out to you. Additionally, you will be getting an emailed certificate that you can use for the professional development of this. So keep those two things in mind. Hopefully you're all prepared. Here in Illinois, we brought in treats today and a bucket of milk. If you were in Utah, you know what that means. So we've got our milk and we're ready to go. So our first session today is an intro to agriculture in the classroom at the national level, Ag in the Classroom 101. And our first speaker is Dr. Debra Spielmaker, a professor of applied sciences, technology, and education at Utah State University. She's the department graduate chair and also a team leader for the USDA NIFA-sponsored National Center for Ag Literacy and was the former state contact for Utah Agriculture in the Classroom. Dr. Spielmaker does all sorts of things, ag literacy, but also runs our website and a number of various projects that she's going to fill you in on today. If you have a question, you can go ahead and raise your hand or put something in the Q&A box. I will be responding from the Q&A box, so check for that, and we will have things posted throughout. So once again, welcome, and we're going to go ahead and begin with Dr. Spielmaker. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you, Kevin. Welcome, everybody. When Kevin first asked me to give this overview to the National Agriculture in the Classroom program, that's kind of a big task because so many different programs nationally. Everybody has some different things that they do. But my task today is to introduce you to the National Agriculture in the Classroom organization's website, so you can find the resources and find the context that you need to get your work done in the classroom or as a volunteer working in agricultural literacy. So we're going to start with a little drive-by inside of the National Agriculture in the Classroom website. So I'll go ahead and get that up. And if you've been to this site already, great. Hopefully you found what you needed. But for those of you who are new to agriculture in the classroom, I want to show you some of the highlights or resources that you'll find on the site. First of all, when you arrive at the home page, notice that each month there is a featured resource section where we have all the featured resources for that month. Obviously, this is July, 4th of July, so we have some themed resources there. And that's pretty much how it works. Themed resources that are lesson plans, companion resources, sometimes websites, and other things that you are ready to take and use into your classroom. So Supreme Seeds, Full of Beans, and then of course down here, Growing a Nation, which I'll come back to in just a minute because Kevin did ask me to talk about that particular resource. And it is July, so we'll talk about this Growing a Nation resource that is a secondary, middle school, high school resource, social studies resource for teachers. On the happenings, that's the things that are up and coming. If you were not able to attend the national conference in New York, you can still learn about the teacher award recipients there, the Ag Literacy Award a winner that was presented, that advocacy award at the national conference. And of course, all the other information here about staying connected and following our blog, our social media, subscribing to AgriWorld, which comes out quarterly as a newsletter. These are just resources that will kind of be the touch points for the organization. And if you're feeling compelled to do so, there's also a donate button on the bottom here and under Get Connected. So that's really what you find on the homepage. There's only 4 little links up here to get to some of the other resources that you might need. Get involved is maybe a first place to start. It's if you're new to the program, learn a little bit about the national organization. There's a link to the history, how volunteers have worked and been recognized in the organization. Oftentimes I get asked questions by folks saying, well, what is agricultural literacy? And that is a really good question. We use it all the time thinking, oh, everybody, that just makes sense to us. That means that you can know and communicate about agriculture. But that might be a new term and you might need it to explain to administrators or to others what you're doing in your classroom. Linked together with that is the National Agricultural Literacy Outcomes. And when you go to this particular resource, we've identified by grade level bands what it is that students should know about agriculture by grade level. And these have been aligned with the grade appropriate standards that you'll see. So this is a particularly useful resource if you're trying to align your standards with what students should know about agriculture. This should give you an idea. And also these outcomes are posted as in the bottom of the lesson plans as to which one is being achieved or reached in that lesson. So the agricultural literacy outcomes can be very helpful to you as you sort of design your curriculum map. There's also the history of the organization, more about the national conference coming up in Florida next year, 2023. And then a link to the National Center. If you're interested in doing research or you need research information, contact the National Center. As a team leader, we'll get back to you and will help you find any of the important statistics that you need. Press releases for the organization here, some subscription things. So get involved. It's just a quick place to go to. What is ag literacy? What is national agriculture in the classroom? And how does it fit into my curriculum standards? The next thing that you'll be taking a look at here is this link on the far right is the store. And before I get too far down into this conversation, there is a coupon code for this store. And let me see if I can find it right here. In the chat, I'm going to post, by participating in this conference, you get 15% off until August 31st. And the code is virtual22. So just use that if you're going to be getting any resources from the store. But in our store, you'll find the things that are linked to specific lesson plans. And sometimes you want to create your own lesson plan. So you can come into the store and find a resource that you need. Ag maps, these are some of the more popular things that are listed right here on the front. But you can search, you can look by companion resources, secondary and elementary, and I'll show you how the store resources are linked inside of instruction. But just wanted to get that before I forgot the coupon code out to you from the store. Jumping back then to the home page, the Student Center. If students have just things you want to explore, have them explore, put them in learning centers, that kind of a thing. These are resources that are just for students. So clicking here, you'll find a brand new resource that we are just about ready to get printed, ag badging and other games. This is a brand new resource that'll be ready this fall. We showed it in New York. It is a badge book like you would expect from any Boy Scout or Girl Scout badging. And what it does is students complete the activities, 3 of the activities, and then they earn different badges. And it's explained here. They get a Field Scout badge when they're all done with the booklet. And then they can also log in and get a Field Scout code name. And this is generated around careers in agriculture. So we're hoping that students will not only finish the guide, but will also do the code book. And then there's some other milestones and tutorials, activities to help teachers further this in the classroom if they'd like. The program is designed to be standalone for students. You could give out this booklet to volunteers at a farm field day that would then share it with students who are participating. It really is designed that they could do this on their own, or they could do it together in groups if it's a 4-H type of activity or an after-school kind of activity. And then, of course, back in the classroom, if schools go to a farm field day and teachers say, let's do this together, they can complete and earn these badges and become agriculturally literate for this. In this case, the age grouping is 8 to 11 or grades 3 to 5. So this badge book is not quite ready for, it's going to be in the e-store. And when that comes out, if you're following us on social media, we'll be posting that. And then you can order as many copies as you want. We'll also have PDF copies of this booklet, so you can print them out from the web if you want to do that as well. It's a pretty good size booklet. I think it's up to, 60 some pages now. So that'll be up to you what it is that you want to do, either print it or order some more. So ag badging is an exciting project that will be released here next month. Well, we'll probably have the pre-orders next month and be ready for shipping sometime, hopefully in September. Now, you'll find other games here. Students will find other games that they can play. And I know Tessa's here on the call as well on the webinar, and she'll probably talk a little bit more about Journey 2050 and the Farmers game as well. Those are things that the students can get involved with on their own or within the classroom. All right, so we've talked then about the Get Involved, the store, Student Center. We'll drop back here to the home page. Let's go ahead and take a look then at the Teacher Center. This is where educators, whether you're a formal educator or non-formal, go to get a lot of resources in a pretty quick way, either by using the curriculum matrix or by using these themes or course topics that we've developed for you. But before I get down into some of these details, I want to draw your attention to state and territory programs. Your state or your territory, if we have anybody from the territories, have a program leader who has developed a website, or at least linked to our website. When I say our, I mean the national website, to provide you with resources. And if you don't know that individual, this is the place where you can go to learn more about your program. For example, several states will have their own summer workshops. They will have they'll have their own newsletters. They have their own programs that they're offering within their state, contests, grants, that kind of thing. And so you want to be able to take a look at your state's program to see what's there. Coming to the national site is great, but it won't give you that local information that you need. So for example, if you're on this page and you're from California, you could say, okay, I want to see their website, go to their Facebook page. Maybe I'll just learn a little bit more about California. This is Judy Culbertson. She is the team leader in California, and this is some resources they produced this year. Also, a little bit more about Judy. But when you go to the website, and you could have done that from the other page, you'll learn more about California agriculture. So you have the teaching resources, program events, grants, scholarships, and all of those sorts of things. This happens then for every state. If you go down to, say, Dune's pretty randomly here. Let's see, we'll go to Minnesota. This is Sue Nutt, and she is the leader for the state contact for Minnesota. If I go to website, and I see the Minnesota program and all the things that they do in Minnesota. So you've also noticed that many of these sites have links to the curriculum matrix. And these sites, when you see a curriculum matrix on a state program site, they are using the same database as the national site. So you don't really even have to leave your state site to get to the national resources. We'll take a look at that now here in just a second. So that's how you get to know your state program leader. Maybe check out their Facebook page, go to their website. There's their email where you can send them a message. You can join their newsletters and that kind of thing. So that hopefully is helpful to you. And I really recommend that you follow your state program. If they don't have a link to the national conference, or you can't, or the national conference, to the national matrix, the curriculum matrix, which I'll talk about, let me know, and I'll work with that state to see if we can get a link on their page. But I think most states have some sort of link. The other thing, I might pause on this. Nearly all states have also state-specific resources. So if I went back to California and Minnesota, I could do this on any of the sites, really. Virginia, Georgia, on and on, Texas, whoever you are, all the states have their own state resources. So when I go to the website for that state, I can go to their teaching resources. In the case of California, lesson plans, and you can see California lessons at a glance. So these are California specific. Here's the link to the national curriculum matrix, and then they have some distance learning resources as well on this page. States might be organized a little bit differently, but typically you'll find a teacher resource section, lesson plans. There'll be the state lesson plans that are very specific to that state's agriculture. Maybe those state standards, whether it's their science standards or they're using some specific history standards, if you will, for maybe 4th grade and 7th grade history. You'll find those kinds of things in the state-specific resources. In the national matrix, which we're going to take a look at now, that particular page, we link back to the states when they have specific resources. So I encourage you in the Teacher Center then to take a look at the state and territory programs. If you want to learn more about national conferences, it's here. There's also a link here to the store. Don't forget the coupon code. Other resources, e-learning, some 360 agriculture videos that I'm always trying to find and curate. If you have a cool one, let us know. Educator professional development opportunities. This is really popular, and this was also in the Student Center. The Ag Stats and Facts, oftentimes, especially in lower grades like 5th grade, they have students learn about different states. And so you can open this up and learn about all the different state agricultural commodities. So each state has made their own highlights for agriculture. Really helpful when students are working on those state reports for when they're learning about the different states. AgriWorld, as I mentioned, is a newsletter, an e-zine that comes out quarterly. Grants and scholarships that are currently being offered, another link to the outcomes for ag literacy, and then some other student-centered tools for teaching and learning. One of the things we like to do on the site is not just provide content, but to make sure that we are providing content for agricultural literacy that also has student-centered pedagogies, or pedagogies that are really engaging and current for having meeting and addressing state standards and teaching and learning practices such as phenomena-based instruction in science, or using the C3 framework within social studies, or some of those other student-centered types of tools that we find where it's not just like what we're doing here, sit and get kind of lecture, but really engaging kinds of things. And we've really tried to do that within the instructional resources within the curriculum matrix. So I'm going to drop into the curriculum matrix right now. And there is a couple of other items here on the website. You may have noticed there's this login, my binder, sign up and login. What that does within my binder is that you are able to save resources that you like inside of this matrix to use later. And the beauty of that is if we update a lesson or a resource and you've saved it in a binder, it's automatically updated the next time you come in. So I highly recommend that you create a binder here and put the things that you like in here so you don't have to go finding and searching them up again, because there's 484 lesson plans in here and 1,003 companion resources. So when you find that resource and you're like, oh, there it is, that's exactly what I need to use. If you put it in your binder, it'll always be there. It'll be updated. You'll have new videos or new links, whatever it might be, statistics that's ready to go for your use. So I encourage you to do that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and log in and show you what that looks like. Let's see. I've already created a login. If you haven't, you'll just create an account right here. And I'll log into my binder so you can see what it looks like. So inside of my binder, I have a lesson called Source Search, digging into nutrients, caring for the land, pizza time, just some very random stuff to show you here. Aquaculture, exploring aquaponics, and a brand new lesson that we just sent out, that Andrea just sent out a social media blast on, and also a campaign in our emails, is called The Green Revolution. And this is about the contributions of Norman Borlaug and discusses the impacts of this era in the economic, social, political, and environmental perspective. This particular lesson we've had a lot of requests to get this one in place. And so it's really, really helpful that we have that now as a secondary resource. But that's the sort of thing that I have inside of my binder. And if I don't need that lesson anymore, I change grade levels, I can just check it and I can remove that particular lesson plan. So it's pretty easy to use that. Just move it and then, okay, it's gone. Now let's go back into the matrix, and I want to search now for some particular lessons. So you can do just keyword search here. If you knew that you were wanting to teach something about gardens, for example, which we get a lot of people searching on the term garden, there are 35 lesson plans on gardens that have the keyword garden in them. So you scroll down and you're just like, okay, wow, that's a lot of stuff. I'm not really sure that that's Tale of Peter Rabbit is exactly the grade level I want. So maybe can I filter this out? And the answer is yes. So go into these filters and you say, well, really what I want my gardens, maybe I want to do upper elementary. That'll be great. Grades 3, 5. I teach grade 4. That'd be perfect. And I'm just going to go with that. So now I've added a filter and I've reduced that down to 19. So that's a little bit about how the filters work. And it tells you you have a filter on up here, upper elementary. You might also notice that it's also searching companion resources. And when you scroll down to the bottom, after you see the lesson plans, you'll see there are 93 companion resources that go with that topic that you searched. So for example, for gardening, construct a compost bottle. Yeah, that makes sense. Seed ball garden activity, garden show musical, tons of books. And on many of the elementary lessons, we have recommended literature for students to engage with. So you'll see, and there's more. But what's fun about this then is that you can take a lesson that you found. Maybe you like this vermicomposting or working worms, and you want to add it to your binder. You simply click here, and now working worms is inside of your binder. And you can say, really, let me go take a look. And there it is. Working worms is sitting inside of your binder. So that's a little bit about how to use my binder and why you'd want to use it. I know that a lot of teachers or educators go to websites, they might download or print something, and you can do that. So for example, if you go to Caring for the Land, I just clicked on one and I want to print this resource. You can print it. That's great. Send it to your printer. It's sometimes not as flashy with the formatting. And by the way, if you're on a state site, if it's Minnesota, California, Virginia, anybody who's using the matrix on their site, it will print. This database is the same, just a little different makeup, different colors, different fonts. It doesn't matter. You can print from the California site, Minnesota site, Virginia site, the New Mexico site, whatever site you find this on, and it will have their logos at the top instead of the national logo. And you can just hit print and put it to your printer, or you can print it to a PDF. Small problem with that. If you do that, that's great and wonderful. You've captured it in time. But if we make an update to this particular lesson, we add vocabulary, new video, you have that static lesson sitting inside of your Google Drive that you saved as a PDF. So that's one of the reasons why you'd want to maintain a binder. If you keep a link inside of your Google Drive, that's fine, because the link will just always give you the most current thing. But keeping a binder might make this the most convenient way for you to take a look at and store your lessons. So Caring for the Land, yes, it's sitting inside of my binder. That was a garden search. let's try something else. I'm going to remove the filters here for upper elementary. Let's say you're not interested in a particular topic, but you are interested in a particular strategy that you're wondering if we have instruction on. So phenomena is one of those areas where science has really taken the inquiry method to the next level. Phenomena is really the overarching part to inquiry-based instruction. And so when you search that, you're like, okay, there's 10 plans here. I can see what the grade levels are. Maybe I've actually had teachers take some of these at lower grade levels or upper grade levels and adjust them because they were really interested in that particular phenomena with their students. For example, food science bread dough challenge. This is investigating yeast. And you might say, you know what, that's set for 9-12, and I can see where they've taken this respiration and some of these other science concepts to a high school level. But I think I could really work with my younger students on the phenomena of bread dough rising. And so sometimes teachers, they may not talk about converting it to ATP because that's not part of their curriculum, but they might say, I've got some other ways I want to use this particular phenomena-based instruction. So that's one of the lessons. Let's go back here, photo period phenomena. Grade 3-5, get popping. This is a lesson on the phenomena of why does popcorn pop? And so students investigate this. This is a very detailed lesson with a lot of resources. And I think this is the one I'm going to pause on and kind of highlight some of the elements. So every lesson laid out the same. You'll find the same formatting, regardless of what website you're on. If you're on your state's website, it'll all pull from the same database. So purpose, the estimated time, all the materials you need at the beginning. We also have links then to the slide decks that you'll need, some optional resources here. Videos that you'll want to queue up and take a look at are also linked, so you can read them in the lesson or take a look at them here. These items, these things that are asterisked, you can actually get them yourself. You can collect all of these items at your own local Walmart or whatever store, or order them online yourself. Get them, most of these from your own kitchen. Or if you want to save some time, these items are included in the Get Popping kit, which is available from Ag Classroom store. So if you wanted the Get Popping kit, use your 15% off. You click on this, it would take you to the store. We'd add to cart, just like Amazon, and check out. So this is asterisked or highlighted in each one of these lessons. If there's a kit that goes with it to save you some time, funny light going on here, then that is a resource that could really help you get this thing ordered so you don't spend time gathering all of these resources. They're also linked down by different activities. So sometimes you could say, I want to just go to activity 2 and 3. I'm not doing one, but they are scaffolded in a way that there should be a fairly natural progression with these. All of the lesson plans inside of the matrix have had some sort of pilot testing. So we've received feedback from educators telling us like, oh, this step should come before this, or this didn't work very well for me, or what I really need is a data sheet, whatever it might be. We've received that kind of feedback. You'll also see some essential files that you absolutely need. In this case, a graphic organizer. Where does popcorn come from and what is it made? A PowerPoint presentation that you can download, make your own, put on the site, or just view from the browser here. And then vocabulary words for that particular lesson. And they are highlighted throughout the background material down here. These are always kind of fun. We have these did you know kind of engaging facts about agriculture. This is another point of ag literacy that, you know, what is really interesting about this particular product. You might want to use this as an engaging fact for students, but we've tried to also build in the actual interest approach or engagement part. Some of the vocabulary may sound familiar to those of you who've worked in science for a while who use the 5E format. The 5E format is used throughout the matrix, regardless of subject area. We found that it works well for all things in social studies, health, nutrition lessons, all things. It works really well. So you'll probably be very familiar, those of you in science, with seeing those terms. But in the background, we talk a little bit about how this lesson fits in a storyline of phenomena as an episode. More on phenomena-based instruction. If you go to some professional development, we're not going to digress here, but this is an important part when developing a phenomena is a storyline. And this popcorn is one of those little episodes inside of the storyline. You'll notice then that the texts are bolded. And then we have this engagement or interest approaches here, and then the procedures. In phenomena-based instruction, you'll always see this icon saying this is phenomena. We have different icons throughout various lessons, some calling out a red one that's calling out your attention to this is an important element for ag literacy. Sometimes you'll see the NGSS science practices logo. Sometimes you will see a bridge icon that says there's a state resource. So these icons that you see called out actually do have meaning. And when you see them, there's probably something there almost like a sidebar in a magazine that you'll want to pay attention to. Then, of course, there's the video resources. There is the three-dimensional one. It talks about the cross-cutting concepts. And then episode 2, how popcorn pops, laid out diagram, slow motion. There's the red one. Good thing I picked this lesson. There's the red one. This is calling out an important element about popcorn and white pops. More on the 3D, nutritional information, concepts then for elaboration and evaluation. This is the back end of the 5 E's. So you'll find some different things here that are connecting to the standards. Does STEAM have energy? Yes, and we obviously provide those answers, but these are some things for your students to explore as they complete the activities and make sure that they have as takeaways. Some enriching activities that you might want to take it further, the acknowledgement sources, and then these are the companion resources. So remember, there were 1,003 at this moment companion resources in the matrix. These are resources that go with these particular pieces of instruction. Some of you may have seen Farming in a Glove, and if you do it with the corn seeds, if I click on this, you can farm in a glove and sprout some different corn seeds. This is available in Ag Classroom Store, or you can get your own resources. And we kind of, from the companion resource, you can say, oh, okay, Farming in a Glove with corn seeds, that's linked to the Get Popping lesson we were just looking at. It's linked to this inherited traits lessons, and it's also linked to corn, an amazing plant, food, fuel, and plastic. So when you look at the companion resources, they should have at least 3 other pieces of instruction they're linked to. There might be 1 or 2 exceptions, but usually at least 3 other pieces of instruction are linked to that particular resource. So that's a little bit about companion resources, how they work inside of the lesson. Better jump back over here and keep going because there's one more important element, a couple more here. If you want to give us some feedback on the lesson, this worked well, this didn't work well, I'm wondering if I can we really appreciate you filling out a very short survey on each lesson. We read them and then we make adjustments, but we don't know that it needs an adjustment unless you help us. So that's a quick place, and it's on the bottom of every single lesson. And then here are the educational standards, the ag literacy standards, and any Common Core connections that we have for reading and math. So you have the agricultural literacy outcome here. This one's identify food sources, required food nutrients. This one's educational content standards. So this one links back, in our case, to the next generation science standards. This is a national page. Those are national standards. Some states, I think Minnesota, Texas, Utah, have aligned their state standards. You might see, if you're on a Utah page, Utah content standards. And when you click on that, they'll see the Utah standards. And then if you're a state that's using Common Core, you'll see Common Core connections for that particular piece of instruction. So you'll see this on the bottom. In the national site, we're using national standards. Some states have attached their state standards. So you might, again, want to take a look at your state program and how they've aligned those pieces. Or if your state's using the national standards, you're all set. So that's one of the ways that you can take a look at when we searched here phenomena. We were looking then at a teaching approach, not necessarily content, and a way that you can adjust some of that content, perhaps for your grade level. Back to the basic searches here, though. I don't want to gloss over these too quickly, but you can see that there's different ways to search the matrix for the resources you're looking for. These are the ag literacy outcomes. If you really want to touch on something like food and health and nutrition, you're looking for labeling, my plate, those kinds of things. You can search directly through here. I'm going to take out the word phenomena, or it's going to also search that. And I can go, okay, I want to see what grades 3 and 5 are. And I'll get the food and health lifestyle resources for that grade level. You can also do it by some of these standards. And of course, within social studies, you can do the same. Kevin has on my list, he wanted me to talk a little bit about Growing a Nation. So I know a quick way to find Growing a Nation is for me to find the history resources. And if I pick on high school and middle school here and hit search, I'm going to come up with a whole bunch of resources for social studies. And if I scroll down here, Growing a Nation, I will find the instructional resources for Growing a Nation. And there's a timeline, and that was highlighted on the homepage, if you remember, for this month. There's a timeline and an entire interactive piece where you don't even really need this instruction. You can figure out how to use this timeline any way you want within the resources. But Growing a Nation, maybe I'll start here at the beginning. You can go through the different eras. We still have on our radar to add a few more tiles. That's the beauty of having these things online. We can continue to add resources to this timeline. But for example, Defeat to Victory, this is 30, so this is the Dust Bowl era. There's quite a few resources here. So Adapting to Change in the 1930s, there's drop downs, interesting questions for your students to investigate. Talking here about the Depression, talking about the research that's required during this time period. And in this case, something that USDA scientists came up with to really help alleviate a pretty big problem, which was red squill. You can go learn about that at your leisure. Also, some interesting things here from FDR and Desperation. There's some fireside chat links. There's video. There's podcasts. There's video. There's image. There's an image gallery. A whole ton of resources in here for teaching a little bit about U.S. history and the important things related to agriculture. Oftentimes when we're reading a textbook for history, it's going from one war to the next, it seems like. But some of those history books are not telling the story of what people were doing on the land, what was happening with people in their communities locally. And so this resource is designed to take some of those things that were happening nationally and bring them back to the land. And so you'll find that, sights and sounds from the countryside, Hope in the New Deal. And it's really talking about Americans and how they were dealing with all of these things. There's links to like, oh, this war is going on, but it's really more about what's happening on the land and with agricultural research, and how this country is growing as a nation within agriculture. So that's the Growing a Nation product. It's the item that's on the main page. There's lessons that go with each one of those eras that we just took a look at. And so they're laid out in the same way. There's lots of background on each one of these, different interest approaches, and different questions that they might have. So that's kind of a quick thing on searching. That's a little bit, the last thing I want to show you, if I have just a couple more minutes, Kevin's coming back on there, but just a couple more minutes, I want to show you. Remember in the Teacher Center, there's the matrix, stories, national conferences. Here we've put together some common themes that teachers are looking for. So quickly, in grade K-5, we often find teachers are asking us for school garden stuff. So there's a whole center of resources we have curated on gardening from the matrix and other locations. We get lots of stuff for pollinators from this grade level. So there's a whole, we've curated. You don't have to do any of the searching. We did it for you. We put it all in one nice little place. Hatching science, we're always asked about literature for these elementary ages. The most popular lesson that we think really gets at all of ag literacy is source search. So what's the source is what the title is here. And then other ideas for searching keywords and themes. The secondary is laid out somewhat similar, but by subject matter. So if you are integrated science, 6-8, 9-12, biology, 9-12, environmental science, geography, 9-12, or family and consumer science, these are groupings curated for these topics that we get a lot of requests for. So maybe you just say, I'm biology 9-12, you go to this resource, and hopefully we have some things there already for you to go in these topic areas that will relate to your curriculum. So that's kind of a quick drive-by inside of the National Agriculture in the Classroom website. I encourage you to explore, use the coupon code, Of course, send us any comments or questions that you have about a resource or anything, other ideas that you have for improvement. You want to suggest a lesson plan or resource, please click on this link and send us a quick email. We'll tell you if there's something already in there, direct your attention, or we'll say, hey, that's a great idea. We'd like to add that activity. So thank you for your
Deb.
time.
Yeah, we do have, just so you know, folks, you couldn't see the chat, you couldn't see the coupon code. That will go out in an email at the end. So you'll get the coupon code at the end. So look for that. Real quick, Deb, 2 or 3 word sentence there. Can Growing a Nation website be used for grades 3 to 5? My answer is yes. But it is developed for secondary. You might have to water it down a little bit, but any specifics on that, Deb?
Yeah, again, kind of like I was talking with the phenomena-based lessons, teachers are good at this sort of stuff. So for example, the lesson plans themselves. So when you go to the Growing a Nation lesson plans, they are definitely secondary. Each state, if you're teaching elementary, oftentimes elementary students do state history. I really encourage you to look at your state programs and ask them what they have for state history, because that's probably going to help you the most. But if there's, especially in era one, I know that right here, Seeds of Change, Native Americans, and that sort of, there's probably a lot of resources here. You'll just have to figure out how to use it. The lesson plans themselves may not be of much use to you because they're written at a higher level. But some of these questions, certainly from the timeline, I think are quite useful. And some of the stories, this is about Native American agriculture and the Three Sisters Garden. That is something. Well, my daughter teaches 5th grade in California, and I know she used the Three Sisters Garden, so she's used some stuff from here.
Perfect. Well, thank you, folks. We do have another speaker to go on here for our next couple of minutes. We're going to bring on Tessa Matuszak, and she's our program manager for the National Ag in the Classroom Conference. She's going to share a little bit about Journey 2050 and Farmers 2050. So, Tessa, we're going to let you do a quick drive-by as well.
Yes, quick drive-by. Sorry, all my screens are overlapping. So let's get this that way. Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to do a quick overview about a program that Deb mentioned a moment ago called Journey 2050. And this is a program that we're always excited to talk about and share. It's a free curriculum-based program that includes a virtual simulation game that really gets students excited to look at kind of global food supply, working together as a global community, understanding how agriculture really works around the world. Everything you need to use this program is provided for free, and it's really flexible in how you can use it. You can use it in person, in the classroom, in a virtual setting, a combination. Use the student-led option to direct students to the website to carry out the activities themselves. It's being used in our 4-H programs in Canada and the US, after school clubs, a variety of different options to kind of utilize it for teaching these core concepts of sustainability. And really, the overarching purpose of the program and why this was developed is to understand how we sustainably feed a global population that's continually growing. So by the year 2050, we're going to have a population of nearly 10 billion people. And with that comes less potential resources for us to utilize, or maybe about the same. And so how do we move forward together as a global community, ensuring that we have enough of our resources, everyone's educated in decision-making, and we can just continue to flourish as a society. So the fun part about this that students really love is that there's a virtual simulation game where students get to farm around the world. They get to go into a knowledge test activity level and build a career avatar. So really quickly, how can this fit into maybe where you're teaching? Well, it's aligned for grades 6 through 12 here in the US, but as Deb mentioned, we have teachers take things and craft them to work well in all circumstances. So I know there's 5th grade teachers out there using this and educators using it for pre-service. So across the board, we can see it fit really well in different core subject areas, whether it's science, social studies, your ag classes, family consumer science, a STEM group. It covers a lot of core topics you're already talking about, but includes a really fun interactive piece. It's aligned to standards a couple different ways. So these lessons are available, of course, on journey2050.com, where I'll show you how to get started grabbing all of this great material. But you can also find the lessons on the National Agriculture in the Classroom Matrix. And there you'll find things aligned to your state, to the ag literacy standards, the Common Core connections, all those key pieces and resources that you need to ensure it works in your classroom are there for you. A core piece of this program, again, is talking about sustainability and what that means and what that looks like. And that's depicted in this neat image called the sustainability barrel. We're really focusing on our economic, social, and environmental factors and what those mean. And as students walk through this program, they see how all these little tiny pieces turn into one bigger picture. And with that comes kind of the ebb and flow of things being higher or greater in the sustainability barrel image, which also serves as their score in the game. So it's not so much about maybe producing the most profit in the end or giving back to your community the most, but having this balance created to really ensure we're sustainable through these core factors. The program level is kind of broken up into 7 key levels and then a program summary at the end. You are welcome to pick and pull lessons as you see you need in your classroom or would work well into your curriculum. But they're all great topics, we think, and we hope that you'll find use in a little bit of everything. And level 1, you're talking about the introduction to sustainability, understanding agriculture and food production and food waste. Level 2 is nutrients and soil science. Level 3 is water. We go into the economy, land use, culture around the world. And level 5. Level 6 is all about career. Again, getting to build a career avatar, which is pretty neat. And level 7 is technology and innovation in agriculture. So cool things like drones and lab grown proteins and robots picking vegetables in the field. And then our action program summary piece at the end is a project-based learning focused project that really lets students pick a problem that's meaningful to them and find a solution. You can access everything through journey2050.com, the lesson plans, play the game directly through a browser, or you can utilize the free app in the App Store or Google Play. This is just a quick image of what it looks like to farm in levels 1 through 4. And again, this is a global program, so we're trying to focus on what it looks like around the globe and differences. And an exciting new thing coming is a U.S. farm family is being built into the farm portion of this program. So in levels 2, 3, and 4, students can pick to either farm in Kenya, India, and either Canada or the U.S. So a real life farm family from the Sacramento Valley in California will be built in and launching in 2023. Level 5, this is a quick snapshot of kind of one of the portions of the knowledge test game that goes into that global concept we're talking about and land use in level 5. And then in level 6, this is a screenshot of a career avatar. So basically the students get to pick their preferences and build it into what kind of depicts then as a visual of a potential career that might match to them and their interests and skills. So kind of broadens the horizon a bit on how they can have a positive impact and role in sustainability, agriculture, the global community. There's tons of enriching activities and additional resources for educators to use as they see fit. We just really have tried to create a place to where any questions you have or other topics you want to cover or dig deeper in this specific topic that's, touched in Journey 2050, resources are there and you're ready to run with it. And this is just a quick image, a little bit again of that action program summary. And in that piece and throughout the game, we really talk about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that's built in. I know it's been picking up traction here in the US to use this as a resource for the World Food Prize student program. So I don't know if any of you are doing that, but please note this has been a great resource so far for that project. And really quick, I'm just going to hop out of this and show you journey2050.com. So this is where you would go to register. You can send your students here to go to the student-led version. I will go ahead and sign in. If it will let me, of course. Oops. Well, there we go. All right, so journey2050.com, you create your free teacher account, and the purpose of doing that is so that you earn a teacher code in the system. And so when your students log on to play the Journey 2050 game, they put in your code, and then you will get a teacher report here in the back end of your profile. To grab all the resources and everything, you go to the online program portion of the website, scroll on down, and all the resources are there. You can grab everything at once or just pick and pull as you please. Your lesson plan, PowerPoint, video to view. Every level has a video. The game for level 1 through 6, enriching activities. And as Deb mentioned right before she hopped off, those course topics for the higher grade levels, those tiles, we've now linked those into these lessons as well, because they're just additional great resources to dig deeper into some of these topics. So lots of exciting stuff there. And I know my time is up. So Kevin, I will turn it back to you.
Tessa, we got a couple quick questions. Do students have to register to play Farmers, or can they do it anonymously?
Okay, Farmers 2050 is a different game than Journeys 2050. Journey 2050 does not require any student information other than if you'd like them to put in their name, first or last name is what it will ask for when they log in to play with your teacher code. So no student data is captured anywhere. You yourself as the educator create the profile, so your contact information goes into a secure database. Farmers 2050 is a free farm game that Nutrien, the developers of Journey 2050, decided to create because students love learning how to farm so much and wanted to play more levels. There's only 6 game levels in Journey 2050. Farmers 2050 is a free farm game for youth, adults, anybody who wants to play. Free to download. It's one farm you're playing on. It's realistic. You're still working on sustainability as your score. You're traveling around the world, interacting in global events that focus on the UN SDG goals. And that doesn't require, it's just requiring however they would play through the App Store or Google Play, whatever that login information is. And some teachers use this as like a homework assignment, a farmer's break, when they're traveling to National FFA convention, things like that. So it's a great way to just kind of continue to learn about that sustainability in real life farming.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tessa.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Both Dr. Spielmaker and Tessa have given us an excellent overview. Here's the thing. We spent 45 minutes going over this, and we could have taken the whole 9 hours to do this. So if you have additional questions, we urge you to get on and explore agclassroom.org. Look around, see, contact other teachers, and contact your state. Also, use that social media, ask questions there. With that, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Again, those of you who are in New York, go grab yourself some milk, and you'll understand what that means. But take a quick break. We'll be right back at the top of the hour with our keynote speaker, Peggy Thomas. Again, thanks to CHS Foundation for sponsoring this. Remember, you will get an email with the certificate afterwards, and all of these are being recorded. Thanks again, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes. Thank you. You all can stay on, it's fine, but we're going to end the recording. So.